Today I want to talk about TJ Finley, who has announced his commitment to transfer to Auburn. All that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I want to talk about TJ Finley, who I spoke about on the latest episode of the #1 ranked show because I thought the way that he was going about his transfer was actually kind of interesting. I haven't seen a player at a university use the media in such a way that TJ Finley used the media to announce what he was thinking and how he was thinking about going about doing it. And I thought that was really interesting because we're getting to an age where I could see more players, especially of Finley's caliber, go do that. So let's backtrack here. Finley knows that he's in a 3-quarterback derby to be the starting quarterback at LSU, and he knows what we know. Miles Brennan still looked like the best prospect at LSU even before his injury, though Max Johnson has a real opportunity to win that job, mostly because he was the guy that started the game for LSU when they were down to like 55 scholarship players in the swamp to win dramatically over what we thought was going to be a team that had an opportunity to play in the college football playoff if they won that game and then were able to beat Alabama. Instead, they go on a 3-game losing streak. They lose to LSU, they lose to Alabama, and of course they lose to Oklahoma in the Cotton Bowl with what was the most loaded Florida team that we have seen in some time, perhaps even since 2009, following 2008 and that really great Tebow-led team. Now, Finley, 6'6", 242 pounds, is just inside the top 500 when he comes out in 2020 and comes in with Max Johnson, and we're expecting to see neither one of them, right? But Finley's the most tooly of those guys, and I think the spaces that he was picking out, Penn State, Alabama, Houston, and Auburn, all kind of fit his skill set, though I thought Penn State, for me, would have been a clear winner here unless you want to stay in the SEC, for which he did, because you go to Alabama, you're probably not going to start. I mean, you're looking at Jalen Milroe behind Bryce Young, and then there's Paul Tyson. Depending on how you feel about Ty Simpson, you might never see the field, right? Whereas at Penn State, I could see him competing right away for that starting job with Sean Clifford and perhaps being the heir apparent in Mike Yurcich's system in 2022 with Micah Bowens having transferred to Oklahoma. And then I could look at Houston, but do you want to take a step down from the Power 5 if you could stay on the Power 5? Whereas at Auburn, people are thinking he shows up, he competes with Bo Nix right away, which I don't think is wrong, right, on its face. If it was TJ Finley up against Bo Nix, I could see that, especially knowing that in 5 games last year, TJ Finley threw for 941 yards, including over 270 against Arkansas in a win, and really put the screws to South Carolina in a win as well. And Mike Bobo, the offensive coordinator at Auburn, was the offensive coordinator at South Carolina, so he got a real good up-close look at TJ Finley and what he's capable of. But I don't think it is as simple as saying you're going to compete with Bo Nix, because if you don't win that job this year, you got to compete with Demetrius Davis. And I'm not so certain that Demetrius Davis couldn't show up and win that job right away as a true freshman, because Demetrius Davis might be the best quarterback to come out of Texas since Kyler Murray and certainly since Vince Young. And that's not me saying that. That is Texas high school football coaches saying that, because I need to really walk out for you who Demetrius Davis is. Talking about in 2020 going 11-0. Talking about in 2019 looking at 16 or 15-1, and then we're looking at 16-0. Like, this dude has been putting it together for a very long time, and just taking a look back at some of the things that he was able to do heading into this 2020 season, there were football coaches that compared him to Vince Young. But first, let's go with the stats here, right? In 3 years, Vince Young put together 4,860 yards passing, 61 touchdowns passing. Rushing, he went for 2,764 yards on the ground, 38 touchdowns on the ground, 99 total TDs, and a 33-6 record with 0 state championships. Demetrius Davis in 3 years, 6,983 yards passing with 80 touchdowns. So that's more than 2,000 yards more passing than Vince Young, and 19 more touchdowns through the air. Then rushing yards, he comes in just about 600 yards shy, 2,172 with 31 touchdowns on the ground, 238 for Vince Young, and 111 total TDs, So he's got 12 more TDs than Vince Young through 3 years. And of course, his record is 37-2 to Vince Young's 33-6. And he's already got those 2 state titles on a top class 6A great North Shore Mustangs team that has produced alongside Zach Evans, also Shadrack Banks, both at Texas Christian now. Katy head coach Gary Joseph put it this way: before Demetrius Davis came along, I thought Vince Young was the most dominant high school quarterback I had coached against. His size, speed, and strength were unmatched as a high school athlete. Demetrius is just as imposing with an even better surrounding cast. He is quicker, just as fast, throws the ball more accurately, and doesn't make mistakes. That's saying a lot for me, okay? There's a lot of people that think that Vince Young is the greatest Texas quarterback to ever come out of the state. I think Kyler Murray is that person, but we're really splitting hairs when we get down into it and start to think about who the best quarterbacks to come out of that place are. Because, I mean, high school wild, you can go all the way to Garrett Gilbert. You could go to even Charlie Brewer if that's what you want to do. I'm not saying you have to do that. And I'm sure I'm leaving out some folks. And then there's Quinn Ewers, who's still going through the process right now at South Lake Carroll. But I'm just giving you a sense of what Demetrius Davis is able to do. And that dude might be second, third on the depth chart, depending on how you feel about guys they already have there, including Grant Loy and, Chael. I mean, the other problem with here is you're going to be breaking in some new wide receivers. And I say new. You got a redshirt sophomore. You got some sophomores. You got some freshmen. But it's going to be the Tank Bisbee show for the most part. And you're going to hope you can play a little defense. Brian Harsin in year 1. We'll see what this all looks like with Mike Bobo as your offensive coordinator. I think Finley made a great decision in regard to being able to stay closer to home. He's from Ponchatoula, Louisiana. And I think that going to Alabama is just not going to be what you think it's going to be. But I really wish he would have taken a little bit of time for himself to really rule in or rule out Penn State if they were really on the table. But this is going to be interesting because I think if Finley wins the job over Bo Nix is going to always be there breathing down your neck. But next year really is what we're talking about because he's got 4 years of eligibility left, just like Demetrius Davis. So you're setting yourself up to have a really good quarterback competition going into 2022. And I think that's what Brian Harsin and Mike Bobo really want. And the way that you are able to secure that future for 2022 is by saying to Finley, you're going to get the same shot to start as anybody else. You show up, you learn the system, you learn the playbook, and then we see who is the better man at camp. So lots to go in there, but I think people are really asleep on Demetrius Davis. They'll wake up later. My guy Zach Poff at Max Preps was way ahead on this going, yo man, this guy is going to be next. He's a 5-star according to me, but he just didn't get the same sort of publicity that others in the 21 class did for a variety of reasons. But keep your eye on Demetrius Davis as TJ Finley is headed to Auburn. All right, that is it for me. Deuces.